All right, everyone. So, welcome back to Inherent Success Podcast, where this is your guide through self discovery, also your healing journey as well. We talk a little bit about everything. We talk more about self development, business, tips, coaching, all of the goods. This is also based on transformational stories. And tonight, I have the pleasure to have on my podcast today Miss Ashley Cantu. Welcome
Hi,
to the show. Did I say
thank you
your
for
last name
having me.
right?
Sí,
Okay, good. Cantu. Cantu, right?
Cantu.
Okay, awesome,
I don't know,
awesome. Yeah.
super white name with really Mexican last name.
No, I love it. It's so beautiful. I mean, everyone mispronounced my last name all the time, so.
What's your last name?
Quero.
Oh, Aquero. It sounds
Well,
like,
it's
oh yeah,
no,
go
it's
ahead.
quero.
Quero. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, you did. You did.
Okay.
Everyone will say like cuero or quero or like quero, quero, and I'm like,
Usually,
no,
probably
that's
reading it, when you read it, it's probably like they pronounce it wrong.
They do. I think for most people, it kind of looks like quiero, but there's no
Okay,
I
that's
in
what I was gonna
it.
say, Quero, yeah.
Yeah, so people say, "Oh, quiero," and I'm like, "No, it's like quiero, but it's quiero." And I'm sure that this has been something repetitive that I always say. I
All
just like
right.
to say that on my podcast because recently I've had some guests that it's really hard to pronounce their last
Yeah.
name, and I kind of like make a joke about that all the time. So.
No.
Well, Ashley, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you. Guys, just so you guys know, I met Ashley through a leadership workshop that we are currently going through, which is
It's so
extremely
fun.
exciting. I know, it's so much fun, guys. It's fun, it's stretchy, it's like
Transformative,
transformative,
healing,
yeah,
beautiful.
healing.
This is how I
Yeah.
tell my friends when they tell me how it is. They know I'm in this program. I tell them that I'm like this, and it goes like, and then I go like that. Like that's like they always say like success. People think it's gonna be like that, but it's like you know. So that's how I
Oh,
see it. We're in the middle, but I feel the transformation. I can't wait to see the other side.
well, it's
Yeah.
because you're willing to put yourself in those uncomfortable feelings, like that uncomfortable setting of like, okay, I've always been afraid to feel this certain way, but I'm willing to be in that uncomfortable feeling because I'm ready to be on the other side of it, you know? And honestly, like, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Like transformation is extremely uncomfortable and a lot of people don't do it. That's why a lot of people
Yeah.
don't do it. A lot of people don't stretch themselves into that because of that feeling of uncomfortable, the unfamiliar of like people are just so used to just being in that little safe spot in like a little corner, you know?
And that's what like they say where growth happens in the uncomfortable situations.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So me and Ashley, we are currently going through our level 3 process in the leadership workshop. So just like we explained, it's just like so exciting and just amazing and
Because it's
amazing.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I like right now I'm feeling like how I say stretchy. There's things that I needed that push, like accountability and things like that for make shit happen, you know? Because
Hmm.
sometimes it's hard to be your own motivation, especially when you are your own like self-limited beliefs and all this stuff
Worst
in your
critic.
yeah, your own worst critic. So having a lot of people to keep you accountable for to make your dreams happen, that's been very helpful.
100%.
Mhm.
Alone, you can get far, but when you work together with a group of people, it's like unlimited of what you can accomplish.
Wait,
It really is.
if you go fast, you go if you go alone, you go fast, but you go far, you go together.
Yeah, if you go
Yeah,
together, you
yeah.
go far. Yeah. That's the quote. No, I love
Something
that. I
like that.
love that. Well, I guess we can just go into your story and your journey. I know we've known each other for a short amount of time, and you did share your story with me, which is extremely inspiring. So I would love for you to break it down and share with us, who was Ashley before Ashley, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Well, it all started in a small town. No, it started back. I was born in Laredo, Texas. It's a very small town that my parents were trying to figure out where to live because my dad, they're all both from Mexico, Monterrey, and they were trying to have us to study over here, like the better life, as they say. Um, so they wanted us to be like for us to be born over here. So my parents ended up coming over here, and my dad was gonna study medicine. Also, so first they went to. I have two brothers. First, they had my brother Raul in Houston when my dad was gonna study, but he didn't have that motivation. He didn't have those parents to motivate. That's why it's very good to have parents like that are kicking you to go to school. Like when you're little, you don't want to go to school and you're like whining, but then you see
Mm,
as you grow up that that's a good thing because that's for education and all your skills, part of your life. But my dad didn't have that, so unfortunately he didn't go to medical school. So he was trying to figure out how he's gonna have this family with my mom and like, so they're like, how about we go back to our family where the Monterrey is to stay with family first, and that's where my brother um, Chris was born. And then they decided, I was like, how about a border town so we can be in the middle? We can visit our family, or and if we want to go far, Houston, visit over here. Still in America, So that's when I was born, and I was a miracle. I wasn't supposed to be born. I was 9 years late, and my mom was screaming because she always wanted a girl. And um, it changed things with my parents. The thing is, my mom was very young when she had my brother. She was 17, and they were too young to know. They did not know how to be parents. Like me thinking at 17, if I had kids, I knew for sure I would not make it with that person. My first person. So they tried to make it as far as they could. Unfortunately, they couldn't. They didn't have the tools that we have now. We have social media, we have podcasts, we have AI. They don't. They didn't have no tools, so they only work with what they could. And the culture, Mexican culture, is very toxic. So there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of machista, and my dad, he wouldn't cry. I only saw him cry like 2 3 times my whole life, and it's because he got taught to not cry. And then my mom, super typical, like she stays at home and like she cooks, she takes care of the kids. Long story short, it wasn't working, so they divorced. And I just know at that time I'm too little to like understand what's going on. I just know I've seen him less. um, and then I did now that I am here, it's crazy how it took all these years to know like certain things when I happen child. I'm like, oh, no wonder I'm like this. Like, and then I started doing all this personal development and figuring out that I had all this trauma. Like, I had a lot of trust issues because my mom always told me to not trust anybody, especially men. She had this negativity and still do about men because she has always been abused since her father. Like her father wouldn't let her hug her, or if not, hug him. If not, he would hit her. So she never got to hug her dad until he was dead. When he passed away when she was 14. That was the first time he hugged her dad. And like then got married with my dad super young at 17. And then unfortunately my dad was raised, he was adopted, he was raised in an abusive family, and he carried that to my mom and my brothers, so he started hitting them. I got lucky that I they were getting divorced when I came in the picture, and I was a girl. So maybe my dad was seeing me different. I don't know, that I didn't have that. I remember he only hit me once, but not as bad as I saw or heard with my brothers and my mom. But he didn't, like I said, he didn't have those tools, and so I knew that why my mom had this image of men. Like, she never had a good life, and the life, all the important men in her life have abused her, physically. So I had that carried all like my life. I had no idea, and I'm like, why my relationships were not working, until one day I was like, oh my god, like, why people were like, why can you trust me? And I was like, I just don't know. Like, and then I started like digging deep, and it's because, oh my god, my mom brought this. It's like generational trauma. So I didn't never felt safe in a relationship. And I was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to. They say you could either be the change, or follow the footsteps. And I'm like, no, I want to be the change. I don't want to end up like my parents. So I started doing some work to do that and be able to trust again. Um, and this program, like you said, like it's been even more helpful to. I haven't trusted this much with people, and especially people that I just met, and being vulnerable and everything. So excuse me, I'm kind of sick. But yeah, like, that was like the trust that I had problems with. And unfortunately, I'm gonna be real, and this might be, now I'm not afraid to share this, and I'm sharing this so people can know my story, and if someone can relate, know that you're not the only one, that you're not alone. And so I thought something was wrong with me, because not only can I not trust men, but I also, I didn't like getting touched from my own boyfriends. And I was like confused. I remember one of my ex-boyfriends was like, why don't you like me to touch you? Like, I'm your boyfriend. And I just didn't know. I just never liked it. But unfortunately, I got molested, and like, from my own family, which is was a big factor for my mom, because family is blooded, and like, she never trusted, she all her life she told me to not trust anybody, and the only people she trusted was her family, and they still betrayed the only little trust that she had. So she now has no one to trust. If she trusted little people and it was just her family, now it's all gone. Her trust in the world. So she would always, after that, after that, I remember she's been even more negative about the world and all that. And I'm like, no, like, I started like opening my eyes and like healing that generational trauma and learning how to trust. Obviously, there's bad people out there, but there's ways to know how to trust people, and like putting boundaries and standards, but overall, I uh, I knew that I needed to get out of my small hometown. That I was gonna be in that toxic mindset if I stay there with my parents' beliefs and everything. So Austin came to my mind because I would go travel there for music concerts. And I really liked it. I really enjoyed how people were so expressive. No one was judgmental, and I could be whoever I want. So I felt happy. I was like, wow, like, I need to move here. So also, before moving, the biggest thing that put like the last straw before my move, it was bullying. Unfortunately, I did not have a voice that I have now. I would have never been in this video before, because I had low confidence, and I was always um, taught to not talk back, because my mom would scream at me. So I was quiet all the time. I never had a voice. So that 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 was bad for my whole childhood and adult teenage life, because people started stepping all over me. taking advantage, my being too nice and not having a voice. Until one day, I there's when people are just poking, I just exploded, like, and I'm like, this is enough. Like, I'm not gonna let anybody disrespect me anymore. So I started using my voice and then learning how that was so powerful when I started saying what I don't want, and like, you're not gonna talk to me like this, and I deserve, like, me voicing what I need and what I don't, and who I want in my life. Then people started respecting me, and they're like, even like, and this was just a voice, like, just simply a voice. So I was like, wow. Um, so I decided from that day to not let anyone disrespect me again. So I started using more my voice, and still, I'm new to using my voice. I was in my social medias. I remember doing stories, and I would delete it right away because I was self conscious about my language barrier. Um, but people were like, why are you deleting? We like your stories. And I would see how a lot of interactions, people really love interacting and like can relate and like really like my personality. Because sometimes if you're just posting pictures, videos, like, they're not feeling you, like right now, like you could feel me, my voice. So I would see that the more I talked about, I don't know, a day in my life or something funny, like, this is me, and they see my flaws, they see my imperfections, like, I'm not perfect, I can mess up, and like, they really like that. So uh, and how they say, how are you so good at camera? It just took me practice. Like, I just put myself in uncomfortable situations. I threw myself, the more uncomfortable it was, the more I was growing. Like, and I'm like, so then I was gonna say that the bullying got me over here to Austin, um, and then I started like just exploring. Like, I don't know, I don't have friends here, so literally started going to different places, and I felt like so free that I could be whoever I want. I could be myself, and like, I don't have my mom or anybody either bullying me or like judging me, telling me my mom like telling me things. um, but so I started being more expressive and free, and that made me be not happy and more extroverted than ever, more confident to use my voice everywhere I go. And the one thing that has helped me, and I grew my network really big in Austin, is literally two things: saying hi to everyone, no matter how you look, no matter what job title you have. Always say hi to everyone. And two, just being nice, just simple. A lot of people are like,
Yeah, I
how are you?
remember how I met you. Just sorry to cut you off, but I remember
Yeah,
how I
go ahead.
met you. I was at the part. We were at the party, and I was just like standing there, and I'm like doing my little dance, and then you're just like hi, and I was like hi.
Yeah,
You
I'm like, if I haven't
remember?
met you, I'm gonna say hi to you.
Yeah, yeah. I was like hey. Yeah, it
I'm
was
like,
it
who's
was
this pretty
awesome.
girl?
Aw.
Yeah.
I was like, who's
Um,
this pretty girl?
now we're friends. Yay!
I know.
Yes.
I
One,
love
like,
it.
you don't know, like, what the beginning of Austin, you don't know what people are going through. Like, the beginning of Austin, I remember telling a girl, I like your outfit. Like, I really like your outfit. And she turns around, she's like, really? And she's like, thank you so much. And then she started having a whole conversation over the compliment. And I noticed, um, later, she tells me, it's like, Ashley, you know that I was not feeling myself and I hated my outfit, and you complimented and made my night, and you were so nice, and I wanted to be your
Oh.
friend. And I was like, this one little gesture. So now I was like, that made me just want to compliment every person that I thought, if I liked their hair or their outfit. Like, you just don't know what people are going through. So a little gesture can go along the way and can become we became really good friends, and it could be a business partner, or it could be the next relationship, or anything.
Hmm.
Like, um it's just good to be nice and say hi to everyone. That's it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, just to piggyback on what you're saying, that's 100% true. And I think what I've noticed and realized, as I'm becoming a lot more self aware and just like learning about different things about myself and about the world and about people just constantly, there are like people are just dead. Like, people are just walking around this earth, just like with their head down, their heads in their phone. No one is saying hi. Like, no,
Phones.
like oh, yes, with their headphones, even in the gym, like everyone is just like in their own little world. And when you smile and give a compliment to someone, it can even be like the cashier, like they're just so robotic. They're not even looking, they're like, hi, and they're just like scanning and scanning. You can literally make their day by saying, hey, how are you? How are you doing today? And just have like a small conversation that will light up their day, because they're probably so used to people just being so transactional. No one says hi. People go in and they're just like throwing stuff on the, like to get scanned or whatever, or even like to grab coffee. Yeah, let me get this. Okay, thank you, and walk away. So they're just people are so robotic in the modern world, and it's really sad to see. Even like doing different things that we do in the workshop when we're out in the world, like just to witness how people are just so in their shit, and it could literally cost nothing to be nice and to be kind, because you can make someone's day. Like,
Yeah.
even if you offer a free hug, they're like, wow, I really needed that today.
Well, I used to also, talking about hugs. I used to have a problem with hugs, and I didn't realize that till last year. I'm telling you, you don't realize sometimes things until it hits. I'm like, whoa, I do have a problem with that. So I always had like side hugs, and like I remember my friends like, give me a real hug, and like I noticed I kept doing that like without subconsciously, like I without realizing it, and it was just again like sticking to trauma that from the past people touching me. I just felt like uncomfortable, so a hug never felt safe. But now that I've done the work, and I'm like, now like it feels so amazing, like feeling them, and like hearing their like also breathing, and like how you said some people like I really needed that. There's a saying like, how many hugs someone needs a day to like be there's I don't know how many hugs, but there's a saying that certain amount of hugs makes a whole someone's like day, like their whole day, and like rise
Yeah.
their dopamine. Yeah.
Well, they did a study. I don't remember where I saw this, but I did see this somewhere, and I promise it's out there, and I definitely want to like probably post it in the description or something. But they actually did a study. Yeah. They actually did a study of basically the longevity of a human being, right? How do human beings live longer? And you would think, oh, diet and exercise. No, they actually did a study that the number one thing that people that make allows people to live a longer life is relationships, connection.
Yes, because they're a mirror to what you need to work on, and
Not only
it's kind of, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, not only that, but it's more so of the connection and the love, because people need we are hardwired for love and connection. So when we don't have that, you slowly, like, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, at least for me, when I was in a time of my life where I was just like monking. I didn't want to hang out with anyone. I didn't want to be with anyone. I just didn't like, in my mind, I thought, no, this is my energy, this is my circle. No one is going to get in my circle. They don't deserve it. Yada yada yada. And for a long time, when I was in my monking journey of like just finding my solitude and just like really being by myself, I've noticed that I was just like dying. I was just like, I just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over and over again. I would always see, I mean, I had my boyfriend and my son, but it was just like, I didn't have connection. I didn't have that love, that happiness, that like, you know what I mean? Like I literally felt like I was just like miserable every day. But now that I'm open for connection and I'm open for love, I've realized that I'm a lot happier. I'm like, holy shit. But
Yes.
obviously, guys, do it with the right people.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say
don't
the right
want to,
people.
yeah, you don't want to do it with, have connections with people that are not doing anything with their lives. They're just bad influences. They want to party, they want to drink, they want to do all this shit. They want to bring you down with them. Do it with people that are going to lift you up. They're going to hold you accountable, like a beautiful community.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I also was, I can relate to that, the lone wolf. I was, for how I said, like my mom would tell me to not trust anybody, so I wouldn't even trust. I didn't ever had friends that I was very vulnerable. I always had walls everywhere. So I had friends and like that always go to the gym or same interest, but never that connection, that deep connection. So when yeah, I started like healing that and like working on myself. That's when I started like practicing, yeah, getting more deeper and deeper, and how you said it, it feels amazing, and with the right people. But
100% because, oh, sorry, what were you going to
yeah, go
say?
ahead.
Go
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna continue with the journey, but you can go ahead. Yeah.
Just, yeah, just one more thing because it's definitely important to be so aware of your surroundings, like like your circle of influence, like who is in your circle and who is, giving you that good energy, because you definitely want to be around people that are going to lift you up and hold you high, hold you accountable. You don't want to be around people that just because they're having a shitty life, they want to bring you into their shitty life. So that's something that I wanted to add to. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yay. Well, then, like I was gonna just keep continuing with my journey. But I came to Austin and I was a hairstylist at that time. Unfortunately, 2020 happened, and like that just laid me off. And at first, it was awesome because I was getting checks. That was only, yeah. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Not working and getting free money. Okay. Uh, Not for everybody. That didn't happen for everybody. For the ones that did, it was nice. But then I started realizing I didn't want to go back to that life, because also in the salons, um, that's where I experienced the most bullying, and I thought moving would get away from that. I wouldn't have that bullying, but no, it's like completely, the salons is like a lot of competition. Like I feel like I'm in high school again, like people seeing who gets more clients or who has the most money, and I'm like, guys, we're adults. Why don't we just focus our own lane and be happy for each other? So I told myself I don't want to go back to that environment. So I started networking my booty off and went to every event I c- I could find, and say yes to everything. Say hi to everyone, and and so being that I end up knowing everyone, like a lot of people was like, actually, you know a lot of people, because I went to everything. Till one point, I got burnout. I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to. Like, I was a yes girl, and I cannot say yes to everything. Like, I have to say yes to me, not to everything else going on around. So I started like slowly noticing that uh, not everything I wanted. Like at first, it was just to network and make friends because I was new, and then also I started getting opportunities. That's when I got a lot of modeling jobs. I was a model since Laredo, and also would do promos, promo modeling for brands. And then over here, I took that was a side gig. I took it to full time job. So I
you
started
definitely
working with
have a modeling face, like very
that.
beautiful. Guys, if you're watching, for real, like when I put her Instagram, like she has like this like beautiful like doll face. Yes,
Thank you.
girl.
But anyways, yeah. So I started like modeling, and that came my. I felt like it would bring me a lot of confidence too, like through modeling, like, and expressing myself. So I started working with a lot of photographers, and I started doing a lot of brands, and that was just my jobs, both of them. And then I got offered to dance for a DJ. Told me if I could dance, and I was like, I know how to dance, but I've never danced for a DJ. So I was like, that was new to me. And I was like, I've always wanted to push myself to dance better. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to push myself and say yes. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to do it. And it was with another girl that she was with an agency and I wasn't. And they paired us up together. And she's like, hey, you want to do it with my agency or do you want to do it alone? And like, but we have to figure out our costume alone if you don't go through the agency. And I was like, you know what? The agency sounds better. They figured out the costumes and like, this is my first time. So it's some good that someone else takes care of it. So I started dancing and then we blew up. A lot of people started like wanting to hire us everywhere at certain events and with DJs, and I started just dancing everywhere. But then it was just like a lot in the night scene, and I was not liking a lot of things that I saw in the night scene. There was like just a lot of people that are really drunk, that are out of their minds or doing substances, and like I was like, I don't know if I want to be in this environment. I love dancing and I could see myself, so I would just work, dance, and then go home. And everyone would always ask me, "Do you want to after?" And I'm like, "No," because I'm
Was
tired
it
and I
like go-go dancing? Like
yeah, go
it was
dancing.
go-go dancing? I wanted to do that at one point when I was like 21, like when I lived in well, Miami's my hometown. I born
Oh
and
yeah,
raised
yeah.
there, but
You
like
see a
what
lot of go-go's there.
oh yeah. I remember when I was 22, I was thinking about it. I was like, damn, I want to do go-go dancing because I love to dance.
We're gonna
And you
dance
know,
together.
we do, you know, girl, we're Latina. We love to
Latina.
dance. But yes, but yeah, I wanted to do go-go dancing and that because it
Well,
looked so much fun.
when I saw the girls up on stage, I'm like, I want to be those girls. So I would just, because people started asking me when, then I started being that girl on stage, and they're like, how do you become a go-go? How do you, I was like, I literally just, I would observe their moves and I would see YouTube and I started doing my own. And I remember, I think I would just post on my stories and people started noticing my moves, and I feel like that's how I got attention from it. Like it's like, oh, I really like your moves. Like you could do this, and I'm like, really, like, and I then that pushed me harder to learn even more moves. I'm like, now I gotta learn. Now that I'm gonna be on stage and deal with DJs and um, really big top headliners, I'm like, I need to know how to really go. So I started practicing a lot, and but then after that took a that I said like the night scene got into me, and I started getting offered because I would do social media management for boutiques, and also for jewelry designer. I was their social media management, and so I knew how to do social media, and I started becoming obsessed with my social media. So, and the more I posted, the more brands were sending me things, and I'm like, I actually really like this. So I started like I have now all these emails, but the difference is called UGC, something newish that's happened like the 2 3 years where
I've heard
you
of
don't have
that.
to post on, which I love. Because I'm like, I don't. It got draining posting on social media, so I was like, they send you your products, you record it, and you send the video to them, and they take care of it. Like you don't have to post it on your social media, which I love because I'm like sometimes I'm like I only do products that I believe in because I don't want to. That's it's just not. It sounds fake. Just be like, buy this, and I don't use it or like it, you know. So I'm like, I only
Hmm.
accept the ones that are alignment with me, and so now I do that, and I also, since I do a lot of promo events, through I work with a lot of brands. I started People started asking me to co-host events with them because I've done all these events. So I started co-hosting my single events. um, I started doing single this year. February was the first one. I did about four single events, and then I this program came in mind. It just happened to my friends got got in it, and I always follow my intuition, and something was telling me to join. So I stepped up a little bit with the events, but I said I'll do one event every other, like I'm not gonna put too much in my plate. I'll do once in a while, like one event every other month. So there, this other people. I took a break from single events, and then I had another idea about with my business partner Ernesto to do a pitching business, which is like a mini Shark Tank live show, where we help people like entrepreneurs or start a business to pitch their business idea to CEOs and investors and founders, and also help them uh, pitch their own, perfect their own pitch. Because what at first we started noticing a lot of people were either boring or didn't come dressed the way she's supposed to, or not have the confidence, like talk loud and confident about your product. So we decided to do a course, which I'm doing right now, and it's already live in school, a school program where we're teaching people that would start up businesses to learn how to pitch to investors, and they get to practice through our events that we're putting. And right now, I'm having one in November 2nd. If I would say if you're in town but you're in Miami,
I'm in
you can come.
Sarasota. I'm in Sarasota, so I won't be there. Oh, that would be so much
But
fun.
yeah, like it's gonna be Dia de los Muertos edition, and I'm really excited because it started growing. I did not know, it was just an idea. We're like, this sounds good. My purpose is, I've always been a helper. I would love to help. So it was in alignment that I'm helping others to help their business, you know. And we started our first one in July, and then or June or July, and then we did our second one in August, and then we're like, it just blew up, and now we're like in a big hotel. Now it's gonna be like a big rooftop, and it's like max 500 people, and I'm like, what is this happening? This is really happening, you know? And but yeah, like I just, the thing I feel like why it's working and right now is because I feel like if you are living in service and in alignment, like the universe is gonna pay you back, you know? So that's, as long as I keep serving, the universe will, everything will come back in the end. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it ultimately comes down to it's like you're willing to do the work. You're willing to do whatever it takes to transform your life, to you're taking initiative. And, with your story, people could have had a different outcome. You know what I mean? Because most people blame their past and how their upbringing and how their situation was previously. They blame it on that as to like why they can't change and why they can't do this. Oh, I can't, like I haven't found my purpose yet, or I have anxiety and it's never going to go away, or like all these things. But people like you, and also myself as well, because I had a very rough upbringing, and I went through a lot growing up. I was physically, mentally, like, sexually abused too. Like I was just like all these things. And me and my siblings, we basically raised ourselves. And just all of those challenges, all of those things, I could have easily taken another route. You could have easily taken another route. But instead, you took initiative, you took charge of your life, and you're like, no, I'm not going that way. I'm going this way because I don't want to be like my family. I get to break the lineage. I get to create my own like beautiful family dynamic when I have a family one day, or when you have a family one day. I do have a son, but just an example. So I guess what I would love for you to share is, because I know you do say this a lot, that you have a language barrier. And through my experience, I mean, I grew up speaking Spanish, but I was first generation born here. but I'm very English dominant. Like English is my first language because of the fact that my mom, so my whole family speaks Spanish. And us growing up, we were speaking Spanish, and my mom was like, no, I want them to learn English. I don't want them to be refy. And I was like, Mom, oh my God.
It's a
Second, you
love
said that.
passion.
Yeah, yes. But my mom, like she made sure that we learned English, right? So I guess like because and I've met people that come to America, especially living in Miami, and they don't want to learn English because they end up being lazy. They want to just like stay in their ways. That's basically what it is. Because honestly, too, in Miami, it's very Spanish dominant. You go everywhere and everyone speaks Spanish. It's funny. Whenever I bring my boyfriend to Miami, I'm like, let me talk because they don't know what you're saying. You know, he starts talking to them in English and they're like, eh? You know, they're just
Yeah,
like, okay.
yeah,
I'm like, let me talk to them.
yeah.
um, but I guess like, what would be your advice for, women out there that come to America, right? And I know you were born in America, but you mentioned that you basically grew up in Mexico, right? All right, guys, we'll get right back into the episode. I just wanted to take a quick break here to share with you guys that I do not make any money on this podcast. My goal and my purpose with Inherent Success is to be that guide for individuals in their self-discovery journey. So if you found any value in this episode, make sure to like, to subscribe, and if you know anyone that could benefit from the episode or the podcast overall, you can share with a friend as well. Now, let's get back into it.
I was gonna say half the time I'd be in Mexico. My mom had, she was single with 3 kids, and unfortunately, my dad wouldn't help financially, so she was never there. But because she was working her butt off to provide, and she was be the mom and the dad in the house, and she always felt bad. I remember she always felt bad leaving me by myself at such a young age, home alone. So when I had, summer during elementary and middle, we had like summer off, like 2 months. So those 2 months, she would take me to my family in Mexico. I will always go every summer and also every weekend. Since it was just 2 hours away, we're in the border. We would always go to Mexico to visit our family on the weekends. We would always go, so always talking Spanish, and then when I come back, English. So I created, because a lot of people are confused when they're like, oh, where are you from? And I say Texas, and they're like, but you have an accent. So I have to have a whole explanation that, yeah, it's because I grew up kind of in both. So I got an accent in English, and I also have an accent in Spanish. So it's been hard sometimes to yeah, speak it. At first I was very self-conscious. That's why I would delete my videos on my stories, because I was like, I cannot pronounce it the right way, or like sometimes I'm thinking in Spanish and it's hard to something else comes out, and I'm like, oh no, that's not what I try to say, and I'm like, now I sound dumb or I offended someone, so I'd be all over in my head. And I just was killing myself with all these stories, and I couldn't fully express myself until like people got to know me, and they started knowing that what I meant, even when I was explaining it wrong. They were like, they knew what I meant because they already knew me as a friend. um, they Or I would say, hey, like, I had to explain. I'm like, and I've explained here and there sometimes, like, I sometimes say things differently because I'm thinking Spanish, and they're like, "Oh, that makes sense," and they're like, blow anything off that sounded wrong, and then from there, anytime they talk to me, they're like, they're not offensive or think or judging me or nothing, because for sure I ended up telling them about thinking in Spanish. But I just saying, like, people are gonna judge no matter what, even if you have a perfect English. So might as just be yourself, and like, this is how God, like the universe created yourself, or God, whoever you want believe in, and just like embrace yourself. Like, you only have one life. Why are you gonna hide yourself, your voice, like, because of others? Like, people are too busy like thinking, how I said at one time, I said, This I always say this to my friends. The day you stop thinking, caring about others is when you start living. So like that's
Mm.
how I live my life. I just be myself and I don't care what anybody says. The people that are for me will follow me, and the people that are not, and that they shouldn't be in my life, you know. People should love me for who I am, with my flaws, with my accent, with like messing up. I'm not perfect. I'm human, you know. So that's just being authentic. That's the part of being authentic, and right people love you for who you are.
I agree 100%. And I always say this, it's a little repetitive, but I always say this and it's so true. And I teach this to my son as well, especially in this age when, you're young and you're in middle school and you want to try to fit in. He's doing a lot better, but I always say it's better to be loved for who you are than loved for who you're not.
Yeah.
And it sounds so ABC and elementary, but it's something that I live by because I always say this. Let's say if I meet a new group of women, right? Or if I meet someone and I'm creating a friendship with them, if I can't be the fullest expression of myself, and that's spreading love and joy and peace and happiness, and I can't be the woman that I've worked extremely hard to become around that person, they're not my friends. Like I'm not going to lower myself. I'm not going to step out of character for anyone. I'm not going to not stay in integrity. I'm not going to just like put myself down and hide myself for anyone. And this is something important for everyone to learn, and it doesn't matter, like, people are also don't do things because they're so afraid to look stupid. And one of the things is like learning a new language, right? And like learning opportunities, seeking more opportunities. People are so fixated on like, I'm going to look stupid. It's like, do they pay your bills? Like, are you going to live your life based on like other people's opinions? You're not starting that business because you're scared of what fulanita says. You're not starting that podcast because you're scared of what like this person says. It's like, why stop you? Because at the end of the day, that the people that are judging you and the people that talk shit about you, the people that are going to put you down, is just a justification of the shit that they're not willing to do. Point
Hmm.
blank.
Sure.
you know
And then I always live my life as, I don't know why, I what came up into my mind one day, and I started living like that. Like, if today my last day, oh, I know, because I've read, it's a whole page of things people have said before their deathbed, and a lot of the time it's like, I wish I lived a true life. How do you say? I wish I lived
I wish I
more,
lived my life to the fullest
yeah, that the fullest,
or
or
take more
a life
risks.
that's true to me, you know, like not for others, like
Right,
kind of like putting a face because of others, and not, I wasn't happy, you know, in the
right.
end. So that was one of them, and the other one was like, I wish I could have traveled more. I wish I could have seen my family more. And it's just things that, like, that's now like how I live every day. I was like, all right, my mom's calling me every single day. I used to not be friends with my mom, and now, because I healed, I feel like I feel so much. The more I heal the people around me, because the way I speak, my mind is, the way I think, it's helped others, and now it's gotten to. Helped my mom open her mind and learn new perspectives, and like now we get along all the time. But yeah, she's always calling me at 7 a.m. And my dad, I'm also talking to him, my brother. But I always try to think, if today was my last day, what have I not done? If I've been hiding, I'm like, I'm gonna be miserable. I'm gonna like be very angry and sad, knowing that I didn't do the things that I wanted to, you know, or that I tried, at least.
I agree 100%. I think I posted this the other day. I said, I would say, like, what if tomorrow was your last day on this earth? Like, did you make an impact? Like, what did you do? What didn't you do? Like, if tomorrow was the last day, or like if you were on your deathbed, like, how would you feel? Would you feel like you accomplished and did everything that you've ever wanted to do? Or would you feel like, fuck, I should have done that. I should have done that. I should have done this. why didn't I do that, all of those things. And
Yeah.
imagine too, like it, like just knowing like, damn, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Like, what would you do? Like, you would literally be a maniac. You would do, like, at least for me, I would like do everything that I could in just one day.
Also, I also think that like, what if the other person is like, because you don't know whose last day, like you don't know if it's your last day, instead of mine. So I also, every time I see someone, I like think of that. I'm like, you never know, that could be the last time you see them because things happen, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a great way to like live life, and also like work life balance. How you said you had anxiety. I remember you mentioned about anxiety. I used to have a really high anxiety, and I learned how to calm my nervous system. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could have done this all along. I always thought meditation was boring and breath work was just like weird, But then I actually did it. Sometimes the first time or two time you do it wrong, and I have like ADHD, where like I'm trying to meditate and I have all these things like, hey, the laundry, or and I'm like, I can't meditate. So I'm like, this doesn't
Same.
work.
Yeah.
But then I went to like I learned like a guided meditation or breath where someone leading it, or you hearing it, someone telling you in the YouTube, or like in an app. That's what helped me doing breath work and meditation, like just hearing them. Because if I have nothing, no sounds, I start getting all these things in my head. But if I hear someone talking to me, like telling me what to do, then I'm paying attention to that. And that's what I've learned, and I started implementing breath work and meditation and yoga, and it's helped me calm my nervous system, especially when I have a lot of work to do. So I put that in between so I can have a work life balance and feel like grounded and calm, and not always like fight or flight, and also working out releases, and you know about that because you work out too, is like release a lot of stress, and anything you're feeling, you always feel good, and about, especially when you see that it's also for health benefits.
I agree. And I mean, the whole work life balance thing, there's definitely a lot of different opinions about that. The reason why I say that is because, okay, there's a difference between filling up your cup and then the work life balance. This is something that I'm like starting to understand a little more, and it might be a little contradicting, but
Mhm.
yes, you can wake up and it early and give some time to yourself, as far as like the meditation, the breath work, taking care of yourself. Like, that is a non-negotiable. Like, for me, like working out, moving my body, nourishing my body, that's a non-negotiable. And also, like, I've been living like a sober life. I love it. Like, I don't drink. Like, I really don't, for real. Whoop whoop, sober club. Sober club.
No, I also stopped drinking, and it's like you feel, you think clear, you
Yeah.
feel better, you sleep better, like,
Yeah.
and the people that you either inspire, the people that are not drinking, they're like, oh wait, I also don't want to drink a lot, like, or like
Yeah.
those, you start attracting others that your circle, that want to
And I
be.
think, yeah, and I think, to add to the drinking thing, I think the drinking thing, like, people use it as like a tool to like, okay, this is going to allow me to be myself. And now, like, switching my mindset to like, I don't, like, I can be myself and be fun and dance and just like create this, like, my own dopamine, just by like moving
Yeah.
my body and dancing and like being so happy and laughing. Like, I create my own dopamine, like, I don't have to drink. And to go back into the to what I was saying about the work life balance, I think that's a little, that word can be lost in translation. It can be a little misleading, because if you have a regular job, yes, work life balance, but if you're starting a business and you're creating something, or you're doing something new for a while, work life balance is not in the question, because you're so focused on building this thing, and you're
Mhm.
sacrificing a lot. I don't know what you guys think, you can leave it in the comments, but like your balance, you're like you're so obsessed with creating this thing, that way you're making a small term or a short term sacrifice so you can have a long term result, right? Whether that's
Yeah,
financially, whether that's like something that's going to really like create that vision for you. So you just got to, like, that's what it is. You got to
yeah.
sacrifice, but you can take care of yourself in the process, in the sense of like nourishing your body and working out, breath work, all of that, so you can keep your sanity,
Yeah.
during the time
Yeah,
of you creating and building.
I was gonna say like it because yeah it could some I've seen that also work for the people that just go straight working for 10, 12 hours or like and get shit done and like and then they rest later, right? But so it can work both ways. Not everyone, obviously not everyone cup of tea works this way. It has worked for me because there was yeah, burnout happened with me and like having I always was like go 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 person. I was that person always like go 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 fast 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 and like everything was fast and like even my I had exes that were like actually calm down, like breathe, stay calm or be present. I was never present. I just wanted to like fast forward. So I was like, how can I slow down so I can be present? And I'm like, at least like little bit glimpse of my life. And even like other than what I mentioned, I also do walks. Like if I don't work out, at least do a nature walk that has helped me clear my mind or think, or journaling. I stopped journaling, but I use my notes. No one go through my notes. I have a whole diary. Like it's good and bad. So any ideas I have, I put in my notes, but or any thing that I want to say, especially when I'm angry. I never want to offend anybody or disrespect. So what has been healing for me is write down anything I feel, even it's ugly, in my notes. And a lot of people would have sent that as a text, and that used to be me, and that wouldn't end well. So
Mm.
that I learned a way to do it where I put it there, go to bed, and it feels good because I let it out, pretend I sent it. And then the next day I was like, I'm glad I didn't put that. I didn't send that. And I'm glad that I let it out. Now I feel better. And now I know what not to say. I should not say this. Oh, and then I come in a calming matter. That's what's helped me in my times that I get triggered to journal or like go for a walk and always answer response in a calming manner because yeah, that's has helped my previous relationships when I had arguments. um, I learned that way it was working for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, when I was a lot younger, I used to do that, the whole long texting thing.
Same.
Even
Hi,
now,
Ross.
yeah, no. And then I mean, even now too, like I would catch myself like being out of character, which is
We're
totally normal being
Latinas.
human.
We have it in our
I
blood.
know. We have in our blood, we're passionate.
Even
But
recently,
then
oh, go ahead.
no, no, what were you gonna say?
And I said recently, I was like, why are these tendencies coming back? I'm like, no, Ashley, Tappy. I'm like, you've done all this. There's a little meme. They're like, when you've been healed, or I need to find it, but it's like when you've done all this work and then like old Ashley's trying to come back, and you're like, no, don't come back. Like the
I
old
know.
you, like because I was
Yeah.
at one point I was toxic. I mean, especially with the mentality I grew up, and then I had a really toxic ex, and like that rubbed off, and we were just both really toxic. And I'm like, only like when I look back, I was like the long texts, disrespecting, bad names, bullying each other. I'm like, oh, that was the worst. And I'm glad I grew out of that, and I learned not to be that, and I learned ways and tools has helped me. I found tools to like not answer like that, or yeah, not take my time. Now it takes a long time for me to even scream, like I haven't screamed in a long time, like to someone. Like, I just,
Same.
if anything, I like to cut, like, step back. If that person disrespecting me, either if they're really my friend and I get to decide I want to put that energy, and I would let them know when I come in a calming matter. Like I said, I go for a walk or journal and then tell her, hey, like, what like bothered me or what they're doing wrong. But if they are not someone like, um I don't know, I want to be like, or it's a rude person, I cut them off and like distance myself. Like, I don't need that type of people. I'm like, I'm too old to be arguing and screaming. Like, we're not in high school. Like, we don't need to let these people in our lives do we don't want to.
Yeah, and I think it just ultimately what it comes down to with that is just being self-aware. Like I know for me, I was a very angry person, and because I grew up angry and like in an intense household, my dad was very aggressive and like my mom was aggressive too. Like it was just, very tough. And as a kid growing up, I was so angry. And back then I would yell and do the long text messages. Like I would do all those things. And like if I was really angry, I would like punch the wall and like all that stuff. Like I was a very angry person. I fought a lot when I was younger too. So
I was
yeah,
gonna
like
ask you, have you ever fought? I only fought one
yeah,
person in my life.
I fought
I
a
mean, it
lot. It's
was
embarrassing.
a lot. But hey, you healed and you've grown. That's what
Yeah,
matters. And
yeah.
that's what,
Yeah,
like,
now like now I would never,
that
I'm
same.
all about love and peace. Unless someone touches me. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like
Yeah.
I'm literally like, oh, you won't find me in that situation because I avoid it. Like there's just no,
Like, I'm like,
unless
don't
like
get
I'm in
involved.
a, yeah, like
Like,
unless I'm like in a life or death situation, obviously, or like someone threatens my son, like it's a different story. But like me, like I was a hothead. I really was, even in like my relationships too. But now being so self-aware and like learning to just like address things differently, there are times where I'm human and I get super mad and I'll tell my partner and I'll tell him like I let's talk in he is the long texter. I hate it so much. Now he's the long texter, and I've had
let me
discussions
tell
with
you guys.
him to tell I
Oh,
had
wait, what?
discussions I've had discussions with him to tell him like, hey, like no more long text messages. Like let's just talk on the phone and let's talk.
Exactly that.
And there will be times where like I'm so upset and I'm angry and I'll kind of like raise my voice and I'll catch myself and I'll tell him, hey, I'm not in the right headspace right now. Like I need to be alone. Like I'm the type of person like I need to isolate myself so I can just
Same.
calm down and then
Yeah, yeah.
address it in the right way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, um that when you're like, what were we talking about? Sorry, I blanked out.
It's okay, girl. It's like the evening. Right now it's
Yeah.
9:06 for me, and then it's like 8 p.m. for you. It's been a
Oh
long day
yeah.
for us,
So
guys.
I was gonna say, whenever you were like, you had said you were kind of parenting you and your brother alone, right? Like, you kind of like,
My siblings, me and my
your
siblings.
siblings. Um,
Yeah.
I could relate to that because, I felt like I had to grow up on my own, and was forced to grow up faster because my parents or my brothers would never take me serious. I was always the little girl. I was a girl, and I was the little sister, and so I like work hard to for them to respect me because I never felt respected, by them. Till this day, my brother's like thinks I'm the little sister, but then I feel like I've been parenting a lot of my parents. Like, they were like always, taking care of me, and now that I have all these tools that they didn't have, now I've been parenting, which is it's cool but strange, you know. Like, my mom's like, I've learned a lot with you, and and I'm like, yeah, because now we're in a different generation that they don't know about. Um, but yeah, like,
Mm.
it's I got exhausted. Like, I literally got a burnout, because I'm like trying to do my life and also taking care of them, parenting them. It was just like a lot in my plate, and I had to put boundaries on my parents too. Like, why am I the adult here? Like I'm still not. I'm in my early 30s. I'm trying to make it. I can only do so much. But yeah, like about putting boundaries on family is very important too. Because just because they're your blood, it doesn't mean you have to put up with them or you have to talk to them. Like I've had times where I stopped talking to my mom for like almost a year because I put boundaries and she was bringing a lot of negative in text. She would send me a lot of negative stuff, and I was like, I would wake up with a bunch of negative energy, and I was like, I don't want this. And I would tell her, if you're not gonna tell me anything positive, I'm not gonna answer. So for a long time, I wasn't answering until one day she switched her mindset. She started like knowing that the only way I would talk to me is good, talking in a positive way, and it worked, and it's been helping a lot. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't talk to. I'm not really close with my family. Only my mom and my brothers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. It took a while for me to just like open back up to my parents. It was the same thing. I wasn't talking to them for months. And
I think
going
it's
through
all.
this process. Yeah, and going through this process, I was able to open my eyes and just like heal and forgive and let everything go. And then I mean, it's not perfect, but it was the same thing, like no boundaries, no disrespect, a lot of betrayal, a lot of like a lot of things. And at the end of the day, our that generation, they did the best that they could with what they had and with what they knew. It's a different generation. It's not like you can pop up YouTube and pull up like a personal development YouTube thing, or like there were any books or whatever. Like it was just so old fashioned. And also like generational trauma, it starts from like all the way back into like ancient times. So like the way that the family, let's say, like for example, like in your family, this, let's say there's a constant chain of like, okay, abuse. So that means that people from your generation from back then, the husband abused the wife, and then the wife, they had a child that had a husband that abused the wife, and it was just like a constant cycle,
Yeah.
a constant cycle. So just like it's something that just always passed on. That's why I always say like you can break the lineage of your family, right? You can
Yeah.
break the generational curse. Like your family does not have to go through that, and they're not, because you've had such like you took charge of your life, and you were able to transform and change and become so self-aware to the point where you're elevating your life and you're not doing the same things that your parents did, you know?
Mhm.
So that's definitely something that gets to be celebrated. And I would love for you to talk about your podcast. You did share a little bit with me. She's currently working on her podcast, guys, and she has filmed a lot of them episodes in a studio, right, in Austin.
Yeah, I started with a studio, but I got encouraged just by seeing you and other people. It's better at home. So I'm gonna start doing it at home because it was just a lot of driving back and forth and then waiting for them when to edit. Like I just didn't know. I didn't want to be waiting on someone else, and I'm like, I just like could literally get my laptop and do it from here and do it like constantly the next day and the next day instead of like waiting when to book. And it just takes a whole process on the studio. It does give like better quality, and they offer packages if they want to edit, but also it saves you a lot of money just doing it at home. So that's where I'm gonna do.
That's for sure.
I I am gonna start also. I'm gonna interview you. We're gonna turn the tables on you. uh,
Yes.
and I'm gonna interview a lot of my friends.
I'm
I
excited
have
for that.
right now six. I'm about to do 10, and once I'm planning like the end of the year, starting the year with just constantly a lot of podcasts.
I
And but
love
I've
that.
been
That
wanting to. I've been having this idea planted since 2020. I actually have a lot of episodes recorded, when I was very self-conscious about myself and my voice. um I remember I was crying reading recording, and because it was a pandemic, there was nothing to do. So I'm like, I'm gonna create a podcast. And then the first time I do it, I'm like, when you hear your voice, you hate it, like how you sound. I'm like, this sounds gross. I was like so hard on myself
Well,
back then. So I never released it. I remember posting. I went back. It's called Ashley Talks with Ashley. Uh,
I
and I
love
was like, oh my
that.
god. I heard my first episode. I was like, wow, that was so beautiful. Why was I so hard on myself? Like,
Mm.
at that time, I didn't have the confidence that I have now. And I'm like, now I'm like, that I entered like the program, it gave me courage to actually put that into reality, because I'm like, dude, why am I putting this off? I've been wanting to do it since 2020. It's already 4 years. And I'm like, people need to learn, and there's so much information that I can share so people can heal or learn or relate. And yeah, get it's very, very common right now, the podcast world, and everybody has a story to share and to learn from.
Yeah, and I think for, my thing is like, if you're going to create a podcast, like, at least for me, like the way that I see it is it's important to just have like pure intentions, like not to just do it to make money. That personally, me, like that's what I think. Like, for example, with this podcast, with Inherent Success, like my goal is to just make massive impact, right? And like touch as many lives as possible. And I want
Mhm.
this is a guide for through self-discovery and healing. So that's amazing that you had the courage to start creating your own podcast, and I'm very excited and I'm super proud of you.
Yeah.
It launch When does it launch?
Well, I am trying to launch it like for New Year, so it can be like, hey everyone, like everyone,
You're trying
January.
or you're going to?
No, I'm going to.
There you
It got me
go.
there. Yeah, I am gonna do it.
There's no such thing as trying.
Because I'm working with like a girl that's gonna do my branding, and unfortunately she cannot do my logo right now until next month. And then but meanwhile, I'm recording all these. I'm gonna prepare by the time she is finished with the logo, and I have my goal of 35 episodes to December, then I'll be able to just go full blast. But yeah, like how you said, it's funny, the thing you said, that how you do it with an intention and not by money. I knew I had to do my podcast when every time I started getting invited with other people on their podcast, or every time I would speak, I would get a lot of feedback. And I used to, if you go to my Instagram and you scroll, it's hidden on the reels. I used to do motivational quotes, and I got a lot of feedback. A lot of people were like, wow, I needed that. Oh my God, Ashley, I love those. Like, it was just quotes that people can relate to or like needed to hear that day. That was my purpose. And and then it developed to like, that was just an idea back then, and I let it go. And someone's like, when are you gonna bring that back? And I was like, I don't want to do quotes. I want to share my own story, and I also want to share everyone else's story. And hearing people's stories has impacted me, and I've learned so much just by hearing everyone else's story. I don't know what it's called when um I remember someone told me, Ashley, what, back then, maybe it was like 5 years ago, actually 3 to 4 years. I was newish to Austin, maybe a year or two in Austin. Um this guy told me like, what books do you read? Like, you seem so um knowledgeable. And I was like, I wouldn't read. The thing is that, is like, what made me be this person and not go different other routes was the learning from people around me. So let's say I had friends that if they did a certain thing, the result was not good, then I knew to not do that, because I already knew how I was gonna end. So I would observe. I'm very observant, and I would see everyone's situation, every bad situation. That's how I prevented me to not follow those same footsteps and end up in the
Mm,
same place. And that was like a main
hmm.
thing that I've come this far with no kids or married yet. If I find my guy, I will. But like, um, it's because I didn't want to end up like my mom. I was like, I don't want to end up divorced with two, three kids, and my husband or ex-husband that if it just doesn't work, leaves me, and I'm like suffering because I saw her suffer so much. I didn't want to put my I don't that's my biggest trauma and my biggest concern, to end up like my mom, because it was difficult. It was hard to see her working two jobs, and she literally looked like a robot, where she'll wake up at 5 a.m. to cook for us, dress us up, take us to school, go to work, and then do two shifts and not get home till 2, 3 a.m. because she was working two jobs to just provide all by herself with three kids. I could barely even do it by myself. I'm like, I can just imagine three kids, you know? And I remember at one point, um, I was like 17. I my first boyfriend had a first boyfriend. Um, he invited me to New Year's with his family, and I was like, I told my mom, "Hey, is it okay if I go with his family?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What are you gonna do?" He's like, she said, "Oh, I'm gonna." She had one friend like that is like considered best friend. I was like, "I think I'll hang out with her." I'm like, "Are you sure? Is okay?" Yeah. I was young and everything, and I came back, and I had never seen my mom so sad. She doesn't drink. She was drinking. She was crying. I did not know. I just knew it was something really, really, really tough. Um, she felt like not not the mom that I know. She felt like very sad and depressed. But I did not know the. I never asked till one day she opened up, and she ended up telling me that she wanted to commit suicide. And I know it was that day because I felt it, I saw it, and I just didn't know it was that she was gonna do that. Um, because there was so many bills, so much work, and she was just a robot. There was no, she had no time for socializing. It was just work to get provide for us. She wouldn't talk to no one, just work us, and um, that's why I was like, I don't ever want to end up like her that. Yeah.
That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
No
And
problem.
you get to shine your light in the world and show the
Yeah.
world that you were able to just transform your life in such a beautiful way, and you didn't allow your family history, your past, the way you grew up, determine who you become today. And that's very
Yes.
beautiful to see. And I'm so excited for you and your podcast, and I can't
Thank
wait
you.
to see it. Well, I have one. I love that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to ask you one more question, and then we're gonna wrap it up here, girl, because I we can talk for
Yeah.
hours.
I know.
But
We
I
love
have
each other.
one more. Yeah, I know. But I have one more question for you, and this is something that I always ask all of my guests at the end, just to kind of like close it off. And I want to hear your perspective. So, what does inherent success mean to you?
What does it what? What does
What does inherent success mean to you?
okay. Inherent, does that mean sorry, what's the word, what does that mean actually? The
Inherent success is basically like some things within, like things that you're born with.
mm, and what does it mean to me?
Yeah, what does that mean to you? Something with it means like it's like a meaning of something within that you already have.
So I think we all are born with a superpower, and sometimes we don't use it, but we have it within us. And when you discover it, it's like, oh my god, I'm really good at this. um you need to use it, because that can get you far. Let's say, I don't know, like right now, my superpower is literally having so many connections. I've been considered a connector. I connect so many, because I know so many people, and that's my superpower right now. And like, it's gotten me offered like clients, or like offered like opportunities, or getting invited to cool places and all that stuff. But it's like, that's my superpower. But like, if let's say I knew I had a different type of superpower, um, and it could be a skill, like I'm really good at a volleyball, or like singing, but I don't use it because I'm scared what other thing people think of me. Or um, if you don't use that skill, you might not know what you could be. You might not know you could be a superstar for using that voice, your power. So just using your power, I feel like everyone has that power in them, and that skill, and see where it takes them and leads them. Because everyone is unique, and everyone's good at something, and they should use that. That's what I feel it means to me.
I love it. So
Like a
beautiful.
superstar, like a little one.
Yes. We're all born with a special gift.
I'm actually gonna be Sailor Moon for Halloween.
Oh my god,
It was
that's
a
so
spell.
cute. I loved that show growing up.
I know. I bought the
Yeah.
outfit actually 2 years ago, and I never wore it. And I'm like, this is my time.
Hell yeah, girl. Rock that costume. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for your time today. This was such a beautiful conversation. It just felt like we were just having like a little girl talk. We're sitting on a couch, sober girl talk, no wine. But thank you so much for being on the show today. And thank you guys for watching, for listening. If you found any value in this episode, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and even share with a friend that could benefit from this episode. So stay tuned for the next one. See you
Bye.
soon.